Have you ever stopped and wondered why certain patterns repeat in your family? Maybe it's a feeling of sadness that seems to have no source. Or perhaps it's a quickness to anger that you see in your parents, your grandparents, and now, even in yourself. These are not just coincidences. They are often echoes from the past, whispers of stories and pains that were never fully healed. We live with these echoes every single day. They shape how we love, how we fear, and how we see the world around us. It's a part of our inheritance, just like the color of our eyes or the shape of our smile. We carry these invisible legacies within us, often without even knowing they are there. Think about your family's stories. What are the unspoken rules? Is it that we don't talk about our feelings? Or maybe that we must always be strong and never show weakness? These rules are powerful. They are passed down from one generation to the next, not through words, but through actions, through silence, and through the emotional atmosphere of our homes. These unwritten rules become the blueprint for our lives. They guide our choices and our reactions. Understanding this is the first, most important step toward change. It's about pausing and asking a simple but profound question. Why do we do things this way? This journey isn't about placing blame on our parents or grandparents. It's about having compassion. It's about understanding that they, too, were likely doing the best they could with what they knew and what they were given. They carried their own burdens, their own unhealed wounds. They inherited their own set of rules from the generations before them. By looking back with curiosity instead of judgment, we open our hearts to a deeper truth. We begin to see our family not as a source of our problems, but as a long line of people who have survived, each carrying a piece of a larger story that is waiting to be understood. When we start to connect these dots, we realize that our personal struggles are often part of a much bigger family tapestry. It's like finding a thread and following it back in time. You might discover that your fear of scarcity comes from a grandparent who lived through the Great Depression. Or your difficulty in trusting others might stem from a family betrayal that happened long before you were born. These discoveries don't erase the pain, but they give it context. They give it a name. And once you can name something, you can begin to heal it. You can begin to write a new story for yourself. So, what is this invisible weight we carry? It is often called ancestral trauma or generational trauma. This sounds like a big, complicated idea, but it's really quite simple. It's the pain that hasn't been processed. It's the emotional wounds that are passed down through a family. Imagine a grandparent survives a terrible war. They come home, but they can't talk about what they saw. They bury the fear and the grief deep inside. That unresolved pain doesn't just disappear. It lives on in their body and in their spirit, and it changes how they parent their children. They might be more anxious, less patient, or unable to show affection. Their children then grow up in a home filled with this unspoken tension. They don't know why their parent is so distant or easily angered, but they learn to adapt. They might learn that it's not safe to be vulnerable, or that love is something you have to earn. They absorb their parents' anxiety without even realizing it. This is how the trauma is passed on. It's not in the blood, but in the behavior, the beliefs, and the emotional environment. The original wound may have happened to one person, but the ripple effects are felt for generations to come, creating a cycle of pain. Consider a family where expressing sadness was seen as a weakness. A great-grandmother might have been taught to be strong and never cry. She teaches this to her daughter, who then teaches it to her own child. Now, you find yourself struggling to connect with your own feelings of sadness. You feel an immense pressure to always be okay, even when you are not. This isn't a flaw in your character, it is an inherited coping mechanism. It was a strategy that once helped your ancestors survive, but today, it may be keeping you from living a full and authentic life. Recognizing these patterns is the moment the light comes on. It is the beginning of freedom. When you can see the cycle, you are no longer trapped inside it. You can step outside of it and observe it. You can say, this isn't just me, this is a family pattern. This realization is incredibly powerful. It lifts the burden of shame and self-blame. It helps you understand that what happened to you is not who you are. It's the start of separating your true self from the inherited pain, allowing you to finally breathe and choose a different way forward for yourself. Once you see the pattern, you can begin to change it. Breaking the cycle doesn't require a grand, dramatic gesture. It starts with small, simple, and courageous steps. The very first step is to get curious about your own story and your family's history. Ask questions. Talk to older relatives if you can. Ask them about their lives, their challenges, and their joys. Listen with an open heart. Look at old photographs. What do you see in their eyes? Every story, every memory is a clue. You are not digging for dirt, you are searching for understanding. This is an act of love for your ancestors and for yourself. The next step is to begin telling your own truth, even if it's just to yourself at first. A powerful way to do this is through journaling. Write down your feelings, write down the family patterns you are starting to notice. What are the emotions that feel forbidden in your family? Anger, sadness, joy? Give yourself permission to feel all of it without judgment. Your journal can become a safe space where you can be honest about what you've experienced. This simple act of naming your feelings begins to take away their power over you. It brings what was in the dark out into the light. Another powerful step is to consciously choose a different reaction. If your family's pattern is to shout when angry, you can choose to pause. Take a deep breath. You can choose to walk away and calm down before you speak. If your family's pattern is to hide feelings, you can choose to share something small and vulnerable with a trusted friend. "I'm having a hard day" is a revolutionary sentence in a family that has always pretended everything is fine. Each time you choose a new response, you are rewiring your brain and creating a new pathway for your family's future. Finally, remember that you do not have to do this work alone. Healing happens in connection with others. This might mean talking to a therapist, joining a support group, or confiding in a wise friend. Sharing your story with someone who can listen with compassion is one of the most healing experiences a person can have. It reminds you that you are not broken and that your experiences are valid. Think of the brave people who have done this. I have seen so many guests on my show who have turned their deepest pain into their greatest purpose, healing not just themselves but inspiring thousands. The beautiful truth is that healing is always possible. Every single one of us has the power to be a cycle breaker. I think of a young woman I met whose family was filled with addiction for generations. She saw the pain it caused her father and her grandfather. Instead of repeating the pattern, she chose a different path. She sought help, she faced her own pain, and she committed to a life of sobriety. Today, she is raising her children in a home filled with stability and love, a home she never had. She didn't just save herself, she changed the entire trajectory of her family line for generations to come. Your healing is not just for you, it is a gift to the future. Every step you take toward wholeness sends ripples forward in time. Your children and your children's children will benefit from the work you do today. They will inherit a lighter load. They will grow up with a different set of rules. Rules that allow for vulnerability, for emotional expression, and for unconditional love. You have the opportunity to give them a legacy not of pain, but of resilience. You can be the ancestor that your future family looks back on with gratitude. The one who was brave enough to say, "The pain stops with me." This journey of healing your bloodline is one of the most profound and meaningful things you can ever do. It is sacred work. It takes courage, yes. It takes honesty and a willingness to face what is uncomfortable. But the reward is immeasurable. The reward is freedom. It is the freedom to live a life that is truly your own, not one dictated by the unhealed wounds of the past. It is the freedom to create relationships that are based on trust and authenticity, and to build a life filled with joy and purpose. So I ask you today, what is the one small step you can take? Perhaps it is simply acknowledging a pattern you see. Perhaps it is writing down one feeling you've been hiding. Or maybe it's just holding this idea in your heart, that you are worthy of healing, and you are capable of creating change. You are the one your family has been waiting for. You are the hope. The work you do now matters more than you can ever imagine. Begin today. Begin right now. Your new legacy starts with a single, courageous choice.